We're going to just go over briefly the agenda for tonight, and we're going to have a speaker, distinguished speaker, speak to us tonight about the real-life impacts of Agenda 21. Now, the Bible teaches us that when we shine the light of truth into darkness, it reveals the evil that there is lurking therein.
Very good.
Tonight, we're going to shine the light of truth a little bit on Agenda 21, so it will help us to understand what that is and what it's intended to do. After the presentation, we'll have some closing remarks, but most of the time tonight will be devoted to the presentation. And with that, we're going to turn it over to Skip Claypool, who is a former Geauga County Commissioner. He's the current president of the Geauga County Tea Party and a candidate either announced or to be announced for Geauga County Commissioner in the next election cycle here. So please welcome Skip Claypool.
Thank you, Chuck. Yes, actually, it's not a secret. I am running for County Commissioner. Actually, my name is in the hat. Tracy Jameson, one of our commissioners, resigned effective October 31st. My name is in the hat to replace him. The GOP will be selecting right now from a field of 6 people, and my name is in that hat. So anybody here live in Geauga County? Anybody that lives in Geauga County, reach out to your county commissioner. Even if you don't live in Geauga County, you can act like you do. Pick a precinct person and call them and say, select Skip. And you can help me to get elected next year. And my campaign is just starting. I will always take donations, friends of Skip Claypool. And so that's my campaign fund. So anyway, that's it. That's my self-promotion for that. And somebody told me today, I actually got a call, a lady gave me a lecture. And she said, Skip, if you're going to get elected, you have to start self-promoting. Don't be embarrassed, don't be shy. She lectured me for an hour. And so she invited me to her own fundraiser that she put together on Sunday for me, and she said, it's time for you to get off your duff and start making things happen. So I guess that was a thank you, Lord message coming right at it. So tonight what we're going to talk about is Agenda 21. How many people in here are familiar with Agenda 21? I recognize a lot of faces. So good. That'll be the last time I use that word, Agenda 21. In America, we don't have Agenda 21. We are not implementing Agenda 21 in the United States. And so if you talk to public officials and you say, I don't want you to implement Agenda 21, they're going to tell you, I'm not. And they're not. They're implementing sustainable development. They're implementing social justice. They're implementing environmental justice. They're implementing all of the concepts and the precepts, which we're going to talk about here, the fundamental concepts that come out of Agenda 21. But in America, our devious, sly political system knew we would not buy a United Nations program that we had not signed a treaty to sign on to, and so they renamed it Smart Growth. If you go to the EPA website, you will see smart growth all over the place. If you go to fedcenter.gov, which is an EPA website, type on sustainability as a link, you will see Agenda 21 listed as one of their source reference guides for smart growth. But Agenda 21 is not being implemented in the United States. So stop using that term and start focusing on the vocabulary that our elected officials and our bureaucracies use, because that's what they relate to. So we'll get into that right now. So that will be the last time we're going to really talk about that. Now I've got about 60 slides, so we'll be here a while. It's always a challenge because I could do a 3-day seminar on this. And 3 full 8-hour days. So it's always a challenge to pick what is the right content for a group. And I know that people have different understandings of Agenda 21. They see it differently. What we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to do a real quick summary overview, just in case, so we get all on the same page. And then we're going to start talking about some of the real life things that are happening around us, the things that we need to push back on. And we had a little success today, by the way. I'll point out to you in Geauga County, and I'll relate that to you in a little bit. All right. So we're going to talk about real life impacts, smart meters, park system, regionalism, land conservancies. Land conservancies is one of my recent hot buttons. I'm going to start pushing that one very, very hard. It is a devious, evil, dirty thing. So I don't know how many of you have any experience with land conservancies, because they're always, as is a lot of this stuff, being promoted as this grand, we're going to save the world concept. It is not. It's evil. And then we're going to talk about what you can do and so forth. So, this is one of my favorite things to talk about before I go into a presentation. If you don't engage, as Plato said, you are destined to be ruled by your inferiors. Or as I like to say, people dumber than you. So, if you want to change things, and I had this conversation with somebody today too, they said, well, what can we do? We're lost. There's nothing we can do. We should just give up. No. We can win. There's more of us than there are of them. Amen. The problem is we are not engaged.
That's right.
The other part of that is we're fighting with each other. I just had a big disagreement with a longtime friend because I wouldn't support a candidate they wanted me to support. Stop it. Stop the in-bickering and fighting. We agree on 99% of the things that we agree on. Forget the 2%. It's meaningless. Let's look over that, and we've got to start coalescing around those big concepts that we agree on. The other side, the liberal progressives, are beating us on that. Because they slough off all that meaningless stuff, and they're focused on the big concepts. Spread the wealth. Let's win this battle. And if we engage, we can. So where did Agenda 21 start? It started with this lady right here, Gro Brundtland. I'm not from Europe, I'm from America, and so I can't really pronounce her name. But she wrote a book, Our Common Future. She was a socialist, vice president of the Socialist Party. It started the concept, it stole that word from us. We can't no longer use the word sustainable development as we would like to use it, to be taking care of things so that we have a future with it. Now it's what she defined it to be in her book. It's a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future. Unfortunately, she combined that concept, which we could probably agree with. How many people in here would agree with the fact that you want to have a sustainable future? You want to take care of your property, you want to take care of your area. Everybody would agree with that concept until you start combining it with a concept called redistribution. Socialists feel like the wealthy, it's a zero-sum game. The wealthy have stolen from the poor, and it's their objective to give back to the poor. Maurice Strong. Have you seen his name before?
Yes.
United Nations, 1992. Da-da-da-da-da. The important thing I want you to take from this slide is he was all about the concepts of sustainability, the fact that what we're doing to the world is not sustainable, and that it's necessary for us to bring down and collapse the current system. There are a ton of people out here who think that way. And the only thing standing between the people who want to collapse the system so they can remake it in their own ideas are us. And if we don't wake enough other people up and other us's, then we are lost. But I am very encouraged to see the numbers of people in this room tonight. And I'm seeing some new faces, some people I haven't seen before, which is good. Sometimes I come and I see the choir, which I love the choir, but I'd rather see some new faces. Put some new faces in a room and let's educate some of new folks. He goes on to, well, we already talked about that. I forgot to take that slide out. So, real quick review of Agenda 21. It was codified in 1992. Codified, not agreed to, by George H.W. Bush, a progressive Republican. We signed on to it. It started the process in our bureaucratic system, starting with the EPA. EPA renamed it to Smart Growth because they knew we would buy into a United Nations program. Other terms, sustainable development, we've already talked about. The United States political systems are letting the United Nations undermine our Constitution, da-da-da-da. Well, those are all things that you know. I actually have another slide in here that talks about, that shows a different set of connections, which I'll get to here eventually. But this is kind of the roadmap, if you will. Started with Our Common Future, went through a litany of evolutions, but the bottom line is inculcated, it is integrated, it it is involved in every